The book of James calls every true disciple of Christ to radical action. It is a wake-up call for those who claim Christ to demonstrate living, active faith by letting their walk talk. This week, John Parker practically applies 4 principles from James that teach us to walk in wisdom.
Welcome back to the Walk Talks podcast, and this is our last episode in our series of Wisdom in James, and we've already looked at being a doer of the word and not a hearer, of faith and works, and yesterday looking at guarding our tongue and guarding our heart, and today I just want to look at one verse, a very familiar verse. I'm sure pretty much all of us know it. And that's James 4:8, and it says, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded." And this verse right here, I've heard it said so many times. This verse, it tells us that you are as close to God as you want to be. So many people say, and I mean, I've said this too, that I'm not as close to God as I want to be, or I'm not as close to God as I should be. I'm not as close to God as I used to be. I used to be a lot closer to God, but God is not the one who moved. He didn't leave us. We've left him. This verse it's an invitation, but it's also a promise. It's draw nigh to God. That's the invitation part. And God will draw nigh to us, and that's a promise. The closer that we get to God, the closer that God is to us. But what does it mean to draw near to God? Charles Spurgeon, he mentions 4 ways to draw near to God. He said it means to draw near in worship, praise, and in prayer. It means to draw near by asking counsel of God. It means to draw near in enjoying communion with God. It means to draw near in the general course and tenor of your life. David Guzik points out that this verse is a contrast from the Old Testament, when God told Moses to take his shoes off and not to come any closer to the burning bush. He said, under the new covenant, God calls us to draw near to him, and he longs to draw near to us. This verse is so important because when we draw near to God, when we are close to God, when we're walking in the Spirit, when we're resisting the devil, it will affect all the other areas in our life. We will be doers of the word. We will work out our faith. We will be able to guard our heart, guard our tongue. Everything else will fall into its place when we are close to God. And so if you didn't get anything else from this series or anything else from this week of podcasts, I would just ask that you would take this one thing with you. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Thank you for taking time to listen today and this week. I hope it's been a blessing to you as it's been to me. Thank you, and God bless.
Thanks for being part of Walk Talks today by listening and subscribing to our podcast. Follow us on social media to get sneak peeks at future episodes and to share your favorites with others who would benefit as well. We hope your heart has been enriched by God's word to take your next step in following Christ.